On my son's birthday, my parents arrived carrying a cake with my sister's twins' names on it. When I asked about my son's gift, Mom said, "We couldn't afford extras this month." Dad chuckled. "He'll live with ice cream." I didn't respond. I helped my son pack his toys, canceled every transfer that night, and blocked their numbers. By sunrise, their power was out, and my sister was at my door, panicking. "Stop pretending you're the victim, Leo." My sister Erin slammed her glass down so hard the red wine splashed across the marble counter. Mom shouted over her, "You think you're better than your own family now? Because you have a job?" Dad's voice cut through the chaos, calm, sharp, cruel. He always thought he was above us, always looking down. The room smelled like burnt candles and tension. My son's untouched slice of cake sat in front of me, the one with someone else's name written across it. The sound of the refrigerator's low hum filled the silence that came after. Then Erin said it, soft, bitter. "Maybe if you weren't so busy pretending to be a savior, Mom and Dad wouldn't have had to depend on me." Mom nodded, wiping fake tears. "You drained us, Leo. Don't act innocent." The words landed like stones. I looked around the room I used to call home. Walls I'd painted, bills I'd paid, lights that ran on my name. And then Erin whispered what everyone was thinking. "Maybe you just wanted control." "My name's Leo Hartman. I'm 28. I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Chicago, above a laundromat that never sleeps. Most nights, I can't either. For years, I thought silence was the same as peace. I thought paying everyone's bills would buy love, that helping meant belonging. I was wrong. They used to call me the quiet one, the stable one. But stability turned into a leash they all tugged. Mom called every month for temporary help. Dad used my credit for emergencies. Erin borrowed and forgot to return. And I let them. But I learned something over the years. When people get comfortable in your kindness, they start treating it like rent-free property. That night, I stayed quiet, because I'd already seen what would happen next. Family in frames. Mom, Lydia Hartman, 60. A woman who could cry on command, who weaponized guilt better than words. Dad, Charles Hartman, 64. Stoic, detached, but every silence of his was loaded with blame. Erin, 26, the favorite. Married, unstable, yet somehow always right in their eyes. They weren't bad people. They were just experts at pretending everything was fine, as long as I kept fixing it. Erin leaned back in her chair. "You're acting like we owe you something, Leo. Families help each other." I wanted to laugh. Families help each other. I paid the rent for the apartment Mom still lived in. I covered Dad's medical bills when his insurance lapsed. I wired Erin money for her twins' daycare when her husband forgot. No, families didn't help each other. I helped them, and they loved me for it, until I couldn't do it anymore. Erin's voice rose again. "You think you're the only one who sacrificed? I raised twins, without your kind of money." Dad grunted. "He's just bitter we didn't thank him every time he clicked a button to transfer money." Mom sighed dramatically. "We didn't ask for much." I glanced at the unpaid credit card bill on the counter. My name at the top, Mom's signature underneath, the one I'd promised not to mention. "You didn't ask," I said quietly. "You just took." The room froze. Dad stood up, face red. "Watch your mouth, boy." Erin's tone softened, but only to twist the knife. "You always act like you're some kind of hero. You're not." And that's when I realized they didn't see me as family. They saw me as a resource that finally said no. Dad pointed at me. "You ungrateful brat, we gave you everything. Everything. A childhood full of shouting. A teenage life spent working double shifts so the lights didn't get cut. A college degree I earned alone while wiring money home." Mom whispered, "If you walk away from us, you'll regret it." I looked at her. At the woman who'd once told me I was her miracle, then used that same line to guilt me into paying her rent. "I already do," I said. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, the kind that suffocates. Erin stood up, trembling with anger. "You think you're better? Fine. take your pity and go. I didn't move. No, you all will. I still remember being 19, standing outside a hospital room. Dad was in surgery, Mom was crying, Aaron had disappeared. The doctor told me they needed $7,400 by morning. I had $600. That night, I pawned my laptop, my guitar, and the jacket Mom gave me for graduation. By dawn, I wired the money, and Dad pulled through. When I got home, Mom hugged me and said, "See? Family always finds a way." She didn't ask where I found it. She didn't care what I lost. That was the night I realized love in this family had terms and conditions. As the shouting grew, I placed a small folder on the table. Bank statements, signatures, transfers. "Aaron," I said, "did you know Mom used your name to open a new credit line last year? I found it when the debt collector called me." Mom gasped. Dad froze. "That's not true," Mom said. I slid another page forward, her handwriting, her address. Aaron turned pale. "Mom?" Mom tried to stand, but her voice cracked. "I only did it for you. You needed money." Aaron whispered, "You ruined my credit." I looked at Dad. "And you? You told everyone I refused to help you. Yet every hospital payment went through my account." The truth hit them harder than any insult could. I wasn't the villain. I was the ghost who'd been keeping their world running. Aaron threw the folder aside. "You planned this. You waited to humiliate us." I stood, calm. "No, I waited for honesty." Dad's voice shook. "You can't just cut us off." I looked him dead in the eye. "Watch me," Mom cried. "Leo, please, we're family." I nodded slowly. Family remembers birthdays. They don't replace my son's name with someone else's. The air was thick, full of regret that came too late. I could see it, the realization that they'd lost the one person who actually held them together. "I gave you all my silence," I said softly. "Tonight, I give you the truth." I packed that night. My son Dylan watched from the couch, quiet and sleepy. "Are we leaving, Dad?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, smiling weakly. "This time for good." By morning, I'd canceled every shared account, every automatic payment, every quiet rescue I used to make. At sunrise, my phone buzzed. Missed calls from Mom, then Aaron, then Dad. I didn't answer. When Dylan hugged me, I realized the world didn't collapse. It just got quieter. They'll never see me the same again, I thought. And I don't need them to. Weeks later, I got a letter. It wasn't an apology, just a short note from Aaron. "You were right. Mom used us all. I didn't want to believe it. I'm sorry." I didn't reply, not out of anger, out of peace. I'd found a small apartment across town, sunlight pouring through cracked blinds. Dylan laughed as he painted on the wall, free and messy. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for a call or an apology. For the first time, I didn't carry their weight anymore. I whispered to myself, "Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means I've learned what not to explain anymore." If you were me, standing in that room, hearing your own family twist your kindness into guilt, would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Tell me in the comments, because stories like mine aren't rare. They're just the ones nobody talks about. Share your story. Like if you've ever loved people who only called when they needed you, subscribe for more stories about pain, truth, and the quiet strength it takes to let go. I used to buy peace with money. Now I earn it with silence.